and welcome to another episode of All That Film. Hi everyone, welcome into the newest All That Film podcast. I'm Austin, your host for this episode. Today we're going to be discussing It Chapter 2, directed by Andy Muschietti. We're joined by previous guest, Evan. Gavin.
Yep.
Gavin.
Hello.
Oh, there it is.
There he is. Hannah.
Hi.
And we're going to be doing a review of It Chapter 2. And first of all, I just want to go around the panel and see what you guys are going to rate the movie. And then we can go into like a spoiler-free discussion before we hit into spoilers. So, Evan, if you want to kick us off.
Oh, sure. We'll get into this later. I find it as a very difficult one to rate. But, so I'm just going to give it like a 6.8, 6.9, something like that.
Okay, I'm going to go and say, I'm going to give it a 6.1. What about you, Hannah?
I gave it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, okay. And Gavin?
I gave it an 8.
Okay,
We got two low balls, 2 high balls. We got some balls.
I mean, okay, do you have anything to say before we jump into just initial reactions?
I'm going to say for the reason I have it low is because I felt like the movie dragged. Like, it really dragged in some places.
Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of weird. The dragging didn't hurt me. It was 3 hours, but it did drag occasionally, but I have like other problems. I thought it was just a very strange way to do the movie they were trying to make. I don't know. I was just very surprised by a lot of choices.
There's just so many questions that have not been answered.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more in spoilers, but
Sure.
You guys got anything? Initial reactions?
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean,
Go ahead.
sorry. I felt like, I haven't read the book, but the book's like a fat one that's huge. And so I just thought that, maybe they're just trying to include as much material as possible. So I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt when I saw that it was a 3-hour runtime. And, I didn't think it hurt necessarily.
What about you, Hannah?
About the runtime or just like overall?
So maybe like in general. Spoiler free.
Yeah, I definitely don't love everything about the movie. I definitely have problems with it. But there's so much in the movie that I like absolutely adore and I'll think about for years, and I can see myself revisiting this movie a lot just because of a lot of things in the movie. So yeah, that's why I have it up so high.
Oh,
okay.
So, did you like it better than the first one?
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot
Interesting.
Okay. Wow, that's surprising to hear. I didn't think anybody would have that opinion. And for the length, I don't know. I get they were probably including a lot from the book, but not everything felt necessary to me. But we'll talk more about that in a bit.
And especially for this podcast, we're trying to keep it on It Chapter 2. I know it's going to be really hard not to reference the first one, but we're really trying to dive into this movie like as a standalone movie. So we're going to do our best to, keep it directed at. I know it's going to.
You're right.
You have to reference it at some points.
Yeah,
but we're going to try to do our best to make sure this is an It 2 review.
We can reference the other. We have plenty of
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
We have no segments this week, so we're just reviewing the movie.
Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and get into some spoiler reviews. Evan, do you have any problems or anything you want to praise about the movie specifically that you're wanted to talk about?
Okay, I'm going to skip a lot of things and go straight to since you guys like the movie a bit more, and I loved the first one, so this one I guess it was just more of a disappointment. I still think it's pretty fun movie to watch, but can someone explain to me what is it?
You asked it.
I know. I think the exposition and the attempts to explain what he actually is just made it so much more clunky, and I don't know. I was confused as to the purpose of his existence.
I don't think that they gave him a purpose in the movie or was trying to. I think they're just kind of like, hey, it is just this alien creature type thing, and he had something to do with like the Native Americans and stuff like that.
You're right, but that's like the stuff that bothers me. I think they should have just left out the whole scene where Bill goes on a trip and sees all that stuff. I thought that was over explaining something. Like in the first movie, they never try to explain what he actually is. It's just he wants them to be scared. But now it's like he's an alien feeding on fear. But the only time characters ever die is when they're surprised, not really when they're scared. Like even I guess since we're spoiler talk, just go to the end. When the guy died at the end, he thought he killed him with the spear, and then the thing kills him instead. Doesn't that kind of go against the whole idea of we can just yell at him that we think he's small and he'll turn small? I don't know. Just that stuff confused me when they tried to explain it too much.
Like,
yeah, it was
what do you mean? How does it go against it though? Because he wasn't saying anything to him. He just threw it at him.
Oh, he said, I believe that, like, I want this to...
Yeah,
like, I think
threw
this is
the spear.
He
he turned around and was like, I think I killed him. That's why he wasn't on guard. He was, like, helping Richie up. I don't know, he wasn't scared at that moment, so why should it be able to kill him when he thought he killed it? I don't know, just... Because that's how they kill him in the end. They just make him small by thinking they can kill him. It just seems weird.
Well,
the more they try to explain it.
Kill him. It was just them, like, not being afraid and, like, demeaning him.
I guess you could say he was still kind of scared, but I don't know. He thought he killed him, so I thought it would. I don't like. Why didn't they do that in the first movie? I don't know. It just seems odd. Like that would be the first thing you'd try if you realized all the thing you were fighting against wanted was fear. I don't know.
Evan, you're gonna tell me, you're gonna look me in my virtual eyes and tell me if you knew that a creature that ate fear, you would just stop being afraid.
Right?
I mean, no.
It's very hard to not be afraid.
Yeah,
I think when you think too hard about it, it's when it's like starts to not make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I just had that problem because I kept thinking about the first one, even though we're not supposed to compare them. The first one, they didn't explain it, and I was always fine with the premise.
Yeah, I struggle with saying, like, is it like a physical creature or is it like a spirit or like something like that, right? Because like, does it?
I guess whenever he's scaring you, he definitely is a physical creature because he definitely inflicts harm. Like it's not just there to scare you.
Yeah, and he can
actually kill you.
It's not clear when he can though, because sometimes he can only scare, but then he eats children, so it's not clear when he's allowed to go full beast mode.
Yeah.
What's called last night? I think Hay said this, or someone I was talking about the movie said this. They said that they think that Pennywise is an alien that came down, but not necessarily someone who's good at what they're trying to do. And I thought that was like kind of a good way to think about it, because it's like, oh well, Pennywise, just like scared him and messed with them, and like he could have killed them then, but he didn't. And I think it's because Pennywise kind of like likes to mess with them, and he's not like good at getting what he needs to do done.
Yeah, I can see that point of view definitely. Actually, once you put it that way, I don't know. I guess it's just a difference. We can go into some of the other stuff now.
I'm gonna go and say I think my biggest I don't want to call it a plot hole, but something I just didn't really understand was why Mike had to lie about the end of like the Native Americans that like originally found it.
Yeah.
Like he just like totally omitted the fact that like ended up.
I think I understood that.
Well,
I think it was because like if he told them that the original ones died, then they'd be scared. They'd be like, "Oh no, I don't want to die." So he had to like keep that apart so that they wouldn't be afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
It makes sense. I just like I guess my thing is, as I said, like try to keep this a standalone movie, but referencing the first movie, it's like it doesn't just go away. So if you just decide to not kill it, even if you are scared, it's just gonna stay and it's just gonna keep happening and happening. So it just doesn't make sense like why he wouldn't try to get rid of it.
Yeah, also the whole Indian package system, like I was confused what it was. Yeah, sorry. Yes, the jar. Sorry, the big jar they were putting him in.
Oh,
I don't know what it is. I don't know why it worked, and I don't know why it was connected to them where they all had to grab a totem. I don't know how everybody knew where their totem was. I don't know. All that was also confusing.
It wasn't like a thing where it's like this is your designated totem. It was like they're supposed to go like reminisce in the town and like find things that they would want to give up as a token.
It was like spiritual in nature, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't literal.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see point of views. I just thought I'd raise these questions because, like, a lot of it was just throwing me off during the watch. It was like the whole movie, I'd say, great fun scene to scene. We can talk about how great the actors were and how great the scares were in a sec, but I just wanted to break down why I think scene for scene I enjoyed watching it. Altogether just kind of fell a bit flat for me, or just kind of felt awkward.
I can see that for sure. Like how it's obviously like a long run time, and there is things in the movie that's not like, outright explained, or just like it's kind of left up in the air. There's a lot of stuff that's left up in the air. And I walking out, I went through all the, like a lot of the things, and I was like, well, I can see why people aren't enjoying this as much as the first, because the first is definitely more of a compact story, and this one definitely tries to expand on Pennywise and like Derry itself, and it's definitely a much bigger film than the first, so there's a big gap between the two, and I can definitely see why people prefer the first over this one.
What else you want?
They
There
also
were a
kind
few
of
more things. Go ahead, Gavin.
they kind of like foreshadowed it, like the whole movie, like about how the writer couldn't write a good ending, like people hated his endings.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they said that the third time, I was like, am I gonna hate this movie's ending? And like I could tell, like, if people didn't like it, like I could see why, I guess. Like I didn't have a problem with it, but they literally won through like the power of friendship, and you're like, like, or
I mean,
yeah.
it kind of works. I don't know.
That was one of your
It worked
problems
for
with
me.
like, the cameo, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about stuff I like, but yeah, the other one was that's a clear the end of the book ruin thing. That's a Stephen King reference outright, and then he's just in the movie like he's Stan Lee for a scene that goes a weird amount of time.
Yeah.
I like that scene.
Yeah, I mean it's not an awful scene. It's just it felt so odd to me because it's just I don't know. It wasn't in the first movie. I just felt weird. Also, Bill has. Sorry, I should stop with stuff I hate. I just have a lot to say about this strange movie. Bill didn't really have an arc. Like, the love triangle solved itself without him ever realizing he was in a love triangle. And then I guess his arc was he can finally write his book again? I don't know.
No, I think his arc was during that point in the water, when he sees his younger self come down the stairs, and he what's it called, kind of realizes that it wasn't his fault that Georgie died, and he like tells his younger self, like, you're the best big brother ever, it wasn't your fault, and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. That actually was a great scene. I just thought it seemed like he'd already solved that. He didn't seem too flustered by anything that was going on. It seemed like that was his arc in the first.
I thought he looked fucked up.
I mean, wasn't that his arc in the first movie? He finally killed his brother at the end of the first
movie.
one?
No, his arc in the first movie was what's it called? Like realizing that, like, accepting Georgie's death.
Okay, and so now he's accepting that it wasn't his
That
fault.
it wasn't his fault. And like everyone, like, because everyone throughout the whole movie, well, Richie was like throughout the whole movie. No, not Richie. People throughout the whole movie was like, "This is your fault. That what's it called? We're all back here." And like, and he thought that he dragged them all into it. And then he thought that Georgie's death was his fault. So it's kind of him overcoming a lot of mental things. At least that's what I got.
Okay. So I'm gonna go in and start getting into the things that I liked. I thought Bill Hader in this movie as Richie was hilarious. Like, I don't think I disliked anything that he did, like the entire movie.
Yeah,
I think he was hilarious
and heartfelt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't always hilarious.
I thought it was cool how they kind of made the movie more like the first chapter was pretty much all about Bill. It felt like, and this movie felt a lot about like how Richie and Eddie's friendship like devolved and like finally evolved again. And I thought it was really cool to see like how they clearly had like problems within them too, but they finally like whenever Eddie was dying, it looked like they had finally solved it. Like it was ending on a very, don't want to say happy note because Eddie got killed, but it ended on a note where
Yeah, and then them two had good moments, and Richie had a lot of good Stanley moments. Just kind of he was the one most reminiscing about his death.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What else did you guys like?
Like about the whole movie?
Like, what was your favorite cast member or actor?
Oh, okay.
Because there was a lot of good performances.
My favorite cast member was Bill Hader. I definitely think that he stole the entire movie. He was hilarious throughout the whole movie. But also, what really got me like to break down, like start crying, was when Eddie was dead and they're about to leave the place, whatever it was, and he just like kept trying to like tell himself and tell everyone, he's like, no, he's okay, we just gotta get him up, and then when they all came out of the house and he was like screaming back because they left him there, and I was like, oh my god, this is a lot for me. I was like just like bawling my eyes out.
So Gavin, fuck. So Gavin, what was your favorite part or character in the movie? Oh, I'm sorry, Filma.
Oh my god.
So the part that I found the funniest, actually, and this isn't really that serious, but when they started doing their chant, did that not remind anyone of the evil containment wave from Dragon Ball Z? They had the bottle and they were putting in the bottle, and I literally thought I was watching Dragon Ball Z. Like, I thought they were summoning King Piccolo right now.
I didn't think about it until just now when you brought it up.
That's all I could think about.
So that's hilarious.
I would have preferred the whole town raise their arms up to give Richie the power to like get one of the Mega Ball.
And he just throws a spirit bomb instead of a spear.
yeah, spirit bomb. I forgot the name.
Kamehameha instead of just the fucking chant.
But yeah, I thought that was funny. But any scene with like James McAvoy, because I'm a big fan of him. So
yeah,
was cool.
Big McAvoy fan here as well.
Oh yeah, I did think he was great because he's always great, but he sounded a little too much like Hedwig from It, or not from Split.
Dude, there were so many points during the movie when I was like, why is he doing a 9-year-old voice? Like, it was so weird. It was like out of nowhere too, because like throughout most of the movie, it sounds like he has like a Boston accent for some reason. Yeah. And then like in some parts, he's like, oh, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I guess he has a thick accent in real life, but like, why?
It was, yeah. I mean, that happens I remember like in the old movie, that like when they start to remember, they start to revert to their kid self. So I think he was like literally being like his kid self. Like in the old movie, whenever they start to remember, they bring back their old tics. That's why he started stuttering whenever he started to remember, because he was like remembering what it was like to be, I don't know, 9 or whatever again. So like that was on purpose. Yeah, he would stutter and sound like a kid on purpose whenever they were remembering stuff.
I feel like that's a weird decision on his part if he wasn't like directed to do that, because if it was like intention, like if Annie Muschietti told him to do that, then everyone else would have done it too.
Yeah, no, that was in the book. They were all supposed to be like their kid self, but
yeah, I feel like that's just a weird decision on James McAvoy's part.
Yeah, that's a good point, Gavin. But yeah, I'm not sure how many other characters reverted to their old self.
Literally none of them.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Have you guys seen the first miniseries with Tim Curry?
No.
Oh, so we can't compare it to the first movie.
No, I was just gonna bring up the spider at the end. I thought it was like a guilty pleasure to see the spider at the end. It was like I was so happy that he brought it in. I mean, he was bound to, like, but
without seeing the miniseries or like knowing anything about like why he's a spider. I just thought it was really weird. That's why I like a lot of this movie, is that it's not afraid to be weird and like go there. And in the first movie, I felt like that there's a lot of restraint on it because they didn't know what they had with it yet. They didn't know like how successful it'd be and how well received it was gonna be. So here, I feel like Annie Muschietti and everyone was kind of like, "Yo, let's go all in and make this like fucking weird, like the book is."
Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, they did. Speaking of like silly things they were doing, like all the effects kind of look. They're still kind of scary, but they're also like kind of funny, and some are outright jokes, like. The dog, obviously, that's a joke.
Yeah.
That was a good scare, though.
Yeah, no, that was good.
And I didn't think that reference would come back, but in the other one, his friend from the mental hospital is picked up by his, or sorry, the guy from the mental hospital picked up by his friend who's a zombie.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just thought,
yeah.
I thought that was hilarious instead of scary. I just thought it was weird that he was just such a zombie guy. So you're right, they do go there.
I think that a lot of it is intentional. Because when I was watching this, I thought of some of Sam Raimi's movies, because I think that there's a lot of stuff that edges on silly, but it's very intentional. I think in the first movie there's hints of that, but and I felt like it felt more uneven in that movie because they never really committed to it all the way. And I think here, Andy Muschietti was definitely like, you know what, this is gonna be campy and it's gonna edge on silly, and this is what we're going for.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I just think the first one's more, I don't get, wholesome and nostalgic because they're kids, obviously, from an age, but they really treated it more, strangely more serious as when the kids were involved than the adults get involved. You're right, it does get more Sam Raimi campy, and I just don't know. I guess it works for some people, and then for me, I just, once again, really enjoyed the movie. Just so many odd things to talk about. Yeah,
I'd say as a horror fan going into it, I was not really expecting, I would say, but hoping for like an outright horror movie, and I just don't think it hit on that level.
Okay.
I think that's why I like the first one so much, because I went into it not knowing what to expect, and like Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is super creepy. I guess just like whenever he's dealing with kids, it's like more terrifying to me than just whenever they're like adults. It just doesn't really hit that horror level for me. That I think that was probably my biggest takeaway from the movie. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't really scare me at all. I like to be scared whenever I go into it expecting it to be a horror movie.
How did you guys?
Scare me either.
That's fair. It was
It
funny.
doesn't need to. Yeah, the first isn't horribly scary.
I thought this one was like funny, like on purpose. Like whenever
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Eddie was dying and he was like, "Richie, I fucked your mom." Like I thought that was hilarious. And so yeah, I enjoyed the campiness of this. But yeah, it wasn't too scary, I guess, like the first one.
I definitely got some jump scares in there, like that. What Paul Bunyan?
Oh,
that scared the shit
yeah.
out of me.
Yeah.
That was really effective. I really, really like that. I think the jump scares in this movie is really effective.
Yeah.
Because they're not like obvious. I liked how they set it up that Richie, when he was like to himself, like, it's not real, younger Richie at least. And it went away. And then, older Richie was like, it's not real. And you totally anticipated for it to be away. And it is like gone for a second. And then like 2 seconds later, it's like, like.
Yeah, and even the grandma one that was pretty much the whole first trailer. That's just the effect itself surprised me because they didn't show the effect in the trailer, but
I think the creature designs are really effective here too.
Yeah.
Like in the first, the Leaper, I think, is in the painting. Those I didn't think were very good. The Leaper is better than the painting because the painting was awful. But
yeah.
here, there's another Leaper, and that looks better. And then the old lady creature design, I really like that.
Yeah. And then I think that was the same scene when she was running out of the house. That's the one you get the other trailer shot of Bill Skarsgård like ripping off his face.
Yeah,
that's pretty good look.
What I thought it was gonna be at all. I thought that like that trailer shot, I was like, oh, so they are like kind of going like into like the backstory of Pennywise.
History, yeah.
And then they're like, no, it's just a little thing.
How'd you guys feel about the love story? We didn't actually talk about it.
I think it was a good arc for Bev. I do think that she is a little sidelined here. I think her and Mike kind of get the short end of the stick. And I think Mike got the short end of the stick in the first one too. But I'm glad that they did do more with him here. But also at the same time, it's like one of my problems is that I do feel like there should have been a more like leader type for Mike, because he was the one who brought everyone back and had all the knowledge of everything. And I never really got that vibe. In fact, I didn't even get the leader vibes from Bill in this. I felt it was definitely more Ben.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Ben was more of a leader, but I don't know. I just didn't buy Like the scene where you first meet him just felt really weird to me, where he's like, he gets his own screen because he's that smart of a stockbroker, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't quite sure what they were doing with his character. And he was the only one. I think all the other casting's like perfect. But he just looks nothing like, and not just because of the weight loss. Just
Oh
as
my
a
God, no,
person.
he looks so much like the younger
What?
kid. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, when they're both together in an interview, literally their faces look so similar.
Really?
I swear.
Because the first guy's so pale, and then the second one, the reference they use is the Brazilian World Cup team. So I don't know. It just seems like very pale to just, I don't know. They just seem very different to me. I could be wrong. I've never seen a side by side.
So yeah, they look very similar.
So one more thing I want to get into that we haven't yet is actually the suicide of Stanley. How did you guys feel about that? Like, did you like how they use it in the storyline, or do you think he should have been more in the movie itself?
I thought it was very effective. I thought that it put a nice kind of over what's the word I'm looking for? I think it kind of set the atmosphere for the movie after the hate crime that happened in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like how they brought it back into the in the end with the letters, and it just kind of put a nice bow on everything. Because in the beginning, I was kind of like, so did they just abandon Stanley completely? Like, we're not going to hear about him again. Like, even though they did bring him up in the movie, they're like, oh, Stanley's dead. We're sad about it. But the letters were definitely a nice bow. At the end of the movie, and I really enjoyed it. And when everyone was reading the letters, I was definitely crying and getting upset.
What about you, Gavin?
I mean, I guess I expected it from the miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I thought the letter was nice. Yeah, I think I would agree that it was a nice bow. I don't think I cared too much about it.
Gavin confirmed doesn't care about Stanley.
Oh,
I did not care about Stanley. Confirmed.
I mean, I like that Richie cared about him. The letter's nice, but I think that the only time they really used his death was for Richie. I don't think nobody else seemed that sad.
When did Richie seem sad?
Didn't he have a whole scene where he was crying about it?
No.
What?
He was at the synagogue for that flashback.
Yeah, he was the one at the synagogue.
Oh,
See,
yeah. Okay. I didn't remember. Yeah. He wasn't crying. He was just sitting in there. And
he was contemplating. He was the only one connected to him. Yeah, you're right. He cried at the end for someone else's death, but I don't know. Maybe you're right. That felt like a good connection to me, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. Do you guys have anything else you can think of?
For the most part, did you guys?
There's a lot in this movie to like.
Yeah.
Did you guys for the most part just like or dislike? I guess most of this. I know Evan mentioned earlier some of the effects worked, some didn't. But how'd y'all feel about the dinner scene at the little Chinese restaurant? Did y'all like those effects from all the little monsters coming out of the fortune cookies?
I thought it looked really good.
I see. That's my thing with the special effects in this movie. I think everything looks weird, it's CGI, but I think it's good design, maybe. So it kind of works.
Can see that.
But it does look pretty uncanny, I guess, just with those monsters on the table. But it still works.
I don't know how the effects are going to age, is what I'll say.
Yeah. We'll see, though. I think maybe the design will hold up and they'll still look kind of wonky in the future. I don't know.
I don't think they look wonky. I think it's definitely that kind of CG where it's oh, I know that's CG, but it's not bad.
Yeah. And I heard a couple complaints that I never noticed this, but I heard complaints that were when they went back to the younger people, there was CGI on the kids' faces to make them look younger.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw it, but I've heard people. I didn't
see it the first time whenever I saw the movie.
Yeah.
But after I thought about it and I watched another review, I definitely I saw what they were mentioning. I think Richie's eyes were huge. If you go back and watch it, his eyes are ginormous in comparison.
His eyes are just as big in the first one. I promise. It's just the glasses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really. when I was watching the movie, I was like, there's definitely something off about the way they sound and their faces, but it was, I was never like, oh, I can see, like, I was never like, oh, it looks bad. I was like, I know how they look, and I know that they're CG on their faces because before I went on, I heard about it, and they had to
really?
pitch their voices and like re-record, their lines and stuff like that. So when I was like watching it and like hearing it, I was like, okay, I feel like there's something weird going on here.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's one of those things. If no one would have ever mentioned it, I wouldn't have really noticed it.
Oh yeah, me either.
But apparently, some people was throwing them off. But that's about all I got. Anything you want?
I think I covered basically everything that I had. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, like specific scares or just specific moments.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie, I think this is my favorite scene of the whole year. And I think this is where the movie gets kind of the weirdest. Is that scene of Pennywise singing to Eddie and just like floating down with like balloons. It kind of felt like a different movie. Like the color palette changed completely, and like it was like a whole ass song. And I really like that scene because it's just so weird and out there, and I think that it's really effective because I think it's one of the more subtle scares in the movie because a lot of it is just kind of like in your face and like, yeah, we're here. And this one is kind of, I think this is where Bill Skarsgård really shines too, is when he's given these moments to kind of just let the character live, I guess, instead of like performing, even though he's singing a song, but it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like the character is like trying to perform. It just seems like he's actually like trying to like intimidate Richie.
Yeah.
Okay. Gavin, anything else you want to talk about?
No, that was good. Yeah, the floating down was pretty cool. And then just whenever the grandma scene, when Beverly was talking to the grandma and she was like dancing in the background, like I actually laughed out loud and think I made other people mad because I just thought she was so silly. And then her little CGI monster, like I don't remember too well, but like was she like a topless grandma?
Yeah, I think she was topless. I think she was completely naked, but
that was outrageous. That was so funny.
Yeah, like I saw it in the trailer, and I was still just like very surprised and horrified.
Yeah, jump of the year.
So I mean, it was a fun movie, even if it wasn't always scary. I still had fun.
Yeah, I think it's a fun, flawed movie that's probably too long for its own good.
I think if I was to rewatch it, I would have to watch the first one before I rewatch this. But I could also just watch the first one without rewatching this. Like I think the first obviously 2017, not like the first made it.
Yeah.
Is definitely a much better standalone movie. That doesn't need like more things added onto it, but I don't think it's a bad thing that they did add on. Like I don't think it's a bad thing that they made a second one.
I think it's the kind of like the Infinity War Endgame argument. Infinity War's the cleaner movie. Then the second one, some people like Hannah like it more. Well, I actually like Endgame more, so not a great comparison, but people like it too more.
Infinity War was a lot better.
So it's the opposite on that one. Although actually, I'm not sure if I liked Endgame more, but the point is, yeah, the first one's more cleaner, and the second one, they took a lot more chances, and they worked for somebody. But
right.
Some people,
Yeah.
That's probably going to wrap it up. Next month, I'm going to be hosting the horror movie of the 2010s podcast. If you guys would like to be on, I'd love to have y'all. It's been awesome having y'all.
Oh, thank you.
I'm down.
What a gracious host. I never get a thank you from Hayden.
Yeah, Hayden.
Yeah, Hayden Trash Talk segment for anybody who wants to go off on him.
Oh, I have too much. I can't.
Okay. We'll save it for later. We'll save it for later.
Just make a whole episode.
Hayden called me a crackhead after I rated 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Literally, I just got a message. He was like, hello, you're a crackhead.
Well, he rated Midsommar. I don't know if you guys liked it, but he rated it a 4 out of 10.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that to
he didn't
me
like
is
Midsummer either.
super fucking crackhead.
Yeah, but I think
Four?
but she disliked it, but
A
she gave it
4?
the reasonable 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
the
that's
respectable
fine.
6 out of. Yeah, you gave it 6 out of 10, right?
I liked Midsummer. What are you talking about?
Oh, damn it. I thought you said you didn't like it. It was the
6 out of 10, a bad score?
you gave it a 6 out of 10?
I gave it like around a 6 out of 10, yeah.
That's not a great score. I
It's
guess
not
that's what we
great,
gave
but I don't
it.
think it's bad.
Yeah.
Anyways,
no,
Hayden gave it a 4.
I don't know.
And I wanted
4
to
out
cut
of
us
10.
off.
Okay, wait. He's
Yeah,
probably
4
gonna
out of
cut
10 is
all
definitely
this.
negative. 4 out
Yeah,
of 10 is definitely negative. I thought you were
Yeah.
trying to say that 6 out of 10 is negative.
I don't know. You seemed negative on it.
No, I liked Midsummer quite a bit.
I don't know. 6 out of 10 seems low to me.
I gave
Okay.
it chapter 2 a 6.1 out of 10.
Yes, yeah, we're like talking down on it, and we gave it above a 6 out of 10.
I'm talking down on it, but overall, I enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, I don't know. 6 out of 10 is an average movie that I enjoy. Maybe it has some problem.
I think that this is totally like not related to it chapter 2 at all.
Yeah.
But the reason that I think I lowered my Midsommar score to like a low 8 is only because of how high I rated Hereditary.
Oh,
And
well.
that's just like, you know.
Once again, I don't think any of this is coming in. We're just talking.
Yeah.
No, I'm confused to what I gave it. Okay, I gave Midsummer 3.5 out of 5. I usually don't do out of 10.
Oh, sorry, out of 5, my bad.
Yeah, I usually don't do out of 10, so that's why I was confused. I think it's like around a 6, but no, 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, I liked Midsummer quite a bit.
Okay, sorry. Well, Hayden, I don't know.
Hayden this summer, we've known Hayden for a long time. This summer, his like scores have been super like very wavy in a sense that like he goes really low for some movies that you just don't expect, and then other movies he'll be like, "Oh, Beach Bum, 11 out of 10." It's like, what?
Yeah, Beach Bum we love. Me and Hayden used to feel the same on like every movie, and we still kind of do. Like we both love The Farewell and some others, but Hayden just seems to go. It's hard. He's harder to predict nowadays.
Yeah.
But well, let's see if we can turn Craig off because we've recorded plenty. And thank you, Gavin. Now we know when to shut off the audio.
Hiya, Georgie.
Oh, there we go. We got it in. Do we want any impressions? Some Pennywise impressions, anybody?
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
Come
Well,
on. All right. Let's see.
How'd you guys feel about Gay Richie?
oh yeah, we didn't really address it. I don't know. I guess it felt.
I'll say this. I'm pro gay people. I'll say that.
Wow, big stance, Austin.